Seriously.
You working outside or you going on vacation again?
Yeah, he's usually better. That can't be a thing.
But it has happened in the past.
Oh, yeah, because she had asked us, and we said, no, you can't. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Human Services, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please take the roll?
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Baldwin,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch,
Here.
Commissioner Beeden.
Present. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? If not, I'll accept a motion.
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any citizens wishing to be heard this evening? Seeing none. Any updates? Any conceptual initiatives? None. Seeing no old business, we'll move to new business. The library board reappointment of Kathleen Wheelahan for a 5-year term ending August 26, 2027.
Make a motion, we forward that to the full board.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other human services matters this evening? Hearing none. Information only. The Health Department, July and June points of interest.
Make a motion to receive and file.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll accept a motion to receive and file packets.
So moved.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to call the Judiciary Public Safety Committee Board to roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Baldwin,
Present.
Commissioner Beeden,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch.
Here. Since there's no changes and additions to the agenda, can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any citizens to be heard? Hearing none, moving on to updates or conceptual initiatives.
Just got, I guess, a quick one that I want to touch on. So St. Clair, we passed the, I don't know if it's judiciary, but nobody's been arrested yet. So we passed the social district down there two summers ago. For example, we just had our offshore powerboat event last weekend that I'm quite involved in. Zero issues. Matt, thanks for sending some guys out to help, so on and so forth. And I don't know, in other areas that have this that you patrol, if there's been any issues, but talking with Chief Raker, since we've put this in, there has been, like I said, there has been no issues, no arrests, no problems with, the underage drinking, so on and so forth. So it's been an absolute home run for the bars and restaurants in St. Clair. You have to have it in special containers and cups and so on and so forth. But it's just been crazy good down there. So I would encourage any of the other commissioners, if you have any other areas that would be looking for something like this, to maybe reach out to a city of St. Clair. I think Port Huron's got one too, if I'm not mistaken. And
We do, yeah.
You haven't had any problems with any of that stuff, and it's been really, really good for the restaurants that have struggled somewhat, so just.
We've done it in Marine City and Elginak too. so
Did you? Okay,
It's
good.
working out. I mean, we've had some events that we would never been able to do without that in place.
I can tell you as a guy that's, like I said, in charge of an event, not having to fence all the areas off, to have all the patrols, to control in, out, I mean, it just has made it a whale of a difference as far as easier and truthfully less costly to be able to do that, so.
It's been good for just regular business. I've seen more foot traffic for people walking in between places, and then if they have the cup in, they'll come in and say, is it okay if we have this, or do you have somewhere we'd like to set it? And so I think people are strolling more. So I have seen an uptick. Someone's not just going to sit, have their dinner, have a drink, and then leave. They're kind of walking around and checking out shops. So
Yeah.
I think it's been good from that aspect.
Good. Glad to hear it's going good.
All right, no old business. So we're gonna go down to new business. Need a motion to send to the full board approval for request for Westlaw Thomas Reuters.
So moved?
Support?
Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Contract approval request for Horizon Health, DBA Yes Care, Addendum 2, Inmate Medical Services.
I'd move to send this to the full board.
Can you just can you talk on this if you don't mind, Trace? Just the next two items, I think, are you, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll support the motion.
Good afternoon, I'm Tracy DeCosta, the
You
jail
got to
administrator.
talk into the mic, it's really hard to hear here.
Good afternoon, I'm Tracy DeCosta, the jail administrator. We have two addendums to our Yes Care contract, and that's our inmate medical services. The first is an extension of the current contract. According to the current contract, we had a 3-year contract. It is eligible for up to 2 one-year extensions. We're asking for that 1-year extension in the first addendum. And we're also asking for the aggregated cap to have a split should it go over. Yes Care would split anything over the aggregated cap with the county. It's really just being put in place for more of a corrective measure at this time moving forward. There hasn't been a significant amount of money on the overage on that. That's the first addendum that we're looking at. The second addendum addresses the inmate medical, the healthcare service or the mental health services with the facility. We currently are contracted with Yes Care to handle the mental health or the medical, and currently CMH is the holder of the mental health contract. As you can see in the memo, there is some staffing issues that had currently come up with community mental health, and them to fulfill the services has been a struggle. We've worked diligently with CMH and Yes Care to maintain services in the facility, but moving forward, we know we need to make some changes. And we also know that that comes with a little bit more of a cost to the county, but with the demand for mental health services on the outside, if you think you're seeing it on the outside, we're truly seeing it on the inside of the facility. So that rise in cost comes with the shortage of staffing. It's costing more for that, and then it's the demand in the facility has rose astronomically over the last years, the inmates that need mental health services, and we need to provide them.
Okay, thank you.
So we've got a motion and a second on contract for addendum number 2. Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to addendum number 3. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support?
Any questions on this one?
Just one, this is the one with the inmate mental health services, correct?
Correct.
What's the increased cost, potential?
The increased cost, it's moving from 167,000 to 443,000.
Okay. How are we going to pay for that?
We have met with the controller and the administrator, and per conversations with them, the funding, part of the funding will come from the county, and the 350,000 will come from the county, and 93,000 will come from the jail commissary.
Carrie, how much additional is that from what we're currently funding?
Well, as Tracy said, the current cost is the 164,000, and it's going up to 443,000. So
Right,
that's
so
a significant
270,000
increase.
additional costs come from the county general fund?
It will be built into next year's budget, and part of it is coming from the commissary as well.
Okay, just estimated, because we need to ask these questions, that's what we do. How much from
Absolutely.
the commissary, 20,000 maybe, or?
She just said 93.
Said 93.
Well, 93, and then the difference between the two, you're going to get 93.
Well, the regular medical contract went up as well, so there's increases in both that are getting built into next year's budget.
Because we're potentially going to approve this at the full board in 2 weeks, and we should be looking at the budget, and I can talk to you afterwards if we
No,
get.
it's, the funds are accounted for, as Tracy mentioned, that the 350 is getting built into the general fund budget as we're working on the budget, and the 93 is coming from the commissary.
All right, thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, CMH provided this service for a long time for us for a extremely reduced rate. CMH is providing less services at our jail now, and to her point, the increase in mental health, I don't think anybody's going to argue that we've seen the increase on these particular things, and how do you control that? How do you control people's mental,
We have an increase, and I'm just generally, you have increases like this across the board, let's say we do, and we just got back to $62 million. I don't want to run a deficit, and if we need to.
We've never ran a deficit in 18 years that I've been on this board.
We've never had a deficit, but I mean, I'm just saying,
Okay.
we got back to $62 million, we've always had it balanced.
One thing that, mind if I say something? The whole mental health services thing, it's obviously an area of need, but the lack of it and the lack of good care and good coverage results in bad lawsuits, bad outcomes and big lawsuits. And it's, so it's really important. We've been supportive of making sure it's well covered. And obviously Tracy and the sheriff want to make sure that happens, because it's the right thing to do for these people, but it's also a preventative measure in terms of.
I can support it and agree with all that.
Big
Just,
lawsuits.
Need to watch the money.
Yep.
Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to contract approval request for Tyler Technologies jury management software.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
Any questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. No other judicial or public safety matters? I've got one. We've got all the stakes located, or all the sites now located for the most part for the sirens, for the weather sirens that we approved a couple months ago, and everything looks like it's going well. Hopefully we get construction started shortly and before we get into the tornado.
Please.
Well, we had that WIMS thing go out the other night. I actually received that spill. That was actually supposed to go out to the plant operators,
operators,
but then I think they hit the wrong button, or
Yes, they
somebody
did.
did, and then it went out to a lot of the residents. I know the issue was contained and, it's taken care of, but,
Most of, or if not all of our water treatment plants don't intake water during the dark. They usually, it's during daylight only, and then they process enough to get ahead, and then they have storage. Marine City alone has over 1 million gallons of storage.
I know Canada's done a much better job
Yes.
of reporting, because that was always a complaint years ago. Their reporting times were slow at best. And I know that they've done, like I said, a better job of, sometimes they would have spills and we wouldn't even know they had a spill, over here until the next day kind of stuff.
Right, and it's already gone past.
Yeah.
So, but this one I think worked out really well, and being, I believe it was a diesel product, so being that, it's actually, will rise to the top. All of our intakes are low, so.
Okay.
If I may add, Fort Gratiot Fire, I believe, started last week, round the clock. At least 2 people are on now. So it's a fully staffed department, 24/7. They've been working on that for years, so it began last week.
Well, then we have the water monitoring. I was part of that years ago too, when they put the water monitoring systems. We did not have that in place. The people that are doing all the intakes, we have, I forget how many of them here in St. Clair County, but that's alive and well too, so.
We've got a good communication between all of our plant operators, and all our DPW superintendents all along the river, which actually is paid off well when we've had issues. And we have emergency valves between communities that we can open up if somebody is running low on water. Between Marine City and East China, again, with East China and St. Clair, and then downriver also with Algonac and Clay Township too, to support them if we have to.
Yeah, good.
All right, can I get a motion to receive and file packets?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And
Motion to
motion to adjourn.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Good evening. I'd like to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Environmental Public Works Committee to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Beeden,
Present?
Commissioner Baldwin,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Vandenbosch,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn.
Here. Seeing no changes to the agenda, could I have a motion to approve it, please?
So moved.
Support.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any citizens to be heard tonight on environmental public works issues? Seeing none, are there any updates from commissioners? Seeing none, are there any conceptual initiatives?
None.
No old business, we'll move into new business. Item A is a contract approval request for the Goodell County Parks Improvement to Raymond Excavating.
Make a motion to send it to the full board.
Support.
Dennis, you want to just give us a quick little update while you're here?
So this project is related to infrastructure improvements in our parking lots and a road connecting the north parking lot to the south parking lot. We also have an apron or approach on the south side of the park that has been a problem for years. Need to get that leveled out, graded, and repaved. We have horse trailers that come in there all the time. They're bottoming out every time they come into the drive, so that's an improvement. We have catch basins that are not collecting the water appropriately, so that is going to be taken care of. And this also addresses a parking lot for our visitors that come to the office. Since we moved out to the Goodell's Park, moved our office out there, we moved into the old garden center, and which has been working out very well. but we do have to create a parking area with accessible parking next to the building, so this addresses that as well. So there's 3 phases of this project, the road, the parking lot, and the approach on the south side of the park. Is there anything else?
Okay. Are there any questions for Dennis tonight? Seeing none, thanks, Dennis. Do we have a motion and support?
We do.
I work for Raymond Excavating. I will be abstaining. If you could make the note, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B is the landfill seeding project.
Make motion to send to full board.
Support.
Any questions on the motion? I will also be abstaining on this one. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 22-21, airport pavement crack sealing and paint markings.
Make motion to send to full board.
Support.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, environmental assessment for runway 422 approach clearing.
Make a motion to send it to full board.
Support.
Are there any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, landfill contract approval request for Metro Environmental Services.
I'll make a motion to move it to full board.
Support.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item S, spongy moth suppression program.
Make a motion to send this to the full board.
Thank you.
Support.
And thank you.
What exactly are we sending to the full board?
Oh.
There were 2 options.
So the option to have the full-time person,
Okay,
the natural invasive species, shared, cost share,
okay.
in-house. Sorry.
So just, I guess, a couple of comments. I received quite a bit of correspondence. St. Clair Township was one of the worst places a year ago for it. And as I told everybody, I didn't even know what a spongy moth, gypsy moth was 2 years ago. Probably went out to half a dozen homes, and, you could hear those things eating and stuff. It was like, it wasn't good. One of the homeowners that I had been in contact with continually out there said it made a huge difference for him this year. As the commissioners are probably well aware of, the county actually paid for the entire cost of the program this past year, just because we did not have time to put a good program, so on and so forth together. That was somewhere in the $525,000 range. We really need to, and then once we get this person on board, but we need to talk to, try to figure out some type of a, cost sharing. I cannot see the county board to continue to shoulder over $500,000 annual expense. The reason we were able to do it this year is because we used some of our American Rescue Funds. We just need to get with some of the townships are really way out in front of this, like Clyde Township, for example. I won't mention some of the other townships, but they're not way ahead of this thing, right? And if you would have tried to have them participate this year, it wouldn't have worked out, and the residents would have had another, bad year. So we need, obviously, moving forward, we need this, and we need to, get a plan in place and perhaps put some of these townships on notice sooner than later that there is going to be some type of participation. What it looks like, I'm not sure right now, but I don't know if this board is, willing to spend $500,000 or $600,000 every year for ultimately, which I hate to say is, private owners, then, could be, it is private owners, issues and stuff, so.
Sure. So in my motion, just to be clear, was not to pay for the actual spraying.
Yeah, no,
It's just for the
completely
position,
understand.
so that we have the continuity of a person every single year, so that we're not behind the 8 ball again. So this is a full-time staff person. And this person wouldn't, to my understanding, wouldn't just be spongy moth. There are all sorts of invasive species that need to be monitored annually so that we don't end up with a $500,000 bill. It would be more preventative, is how I understand the position.
So this position, and Dennis is here and can speak on it as well, in reviewing what we did last year and, the program we put together, with contracting with the Friends of the St. Clair River was put together very quickly, and we all believe it was very successful. The spray was very successful, and those areas are seeing significant reduction in caterpillar and moth activity. But we do know if we don't consistently monitor it, we could get caught off guard again. We also found the amount of internal administrative staff time that was taken on this program is not something that we can absorb forever. There was a very good amount of staff time spent by administrative staff and our IT staff on this program. So if we were going to continue to contract it out, we would actually need to add a part-time employee to oversee it. However, due to the cyclical nature of this species, it would be very difficult to hire someone and keep them with any consistency. So we did speak with MSU Extension, and we also spoke with Park and Rec to do our due diligence and explore other options. And Parks and Recreation, with all of our parkland, certainly they have various invasive species and programs that they're always working with, and a lot of services that they currently contract out. So we both felt like it was a win-win to split this full-time position where the general fund pays half and they manage our invasive species, and the other half is paid for by parks. So that way, in years where there is not significant moth activity, this individual will still be busy. And we do know that there are always other issues happening, so this could be a contact person should something else arise. And certainly, if you have questions, Dennis can speak to more what they would do from the parks standpoint.
This is approximately an $80,000 position.
Yes, top step, full benefits, 84,133.
Okay.
Cost-wise, it's pretty comparable to contracting out with a part-time employee. It's about a $3,000 difference, but we do feel like having a full-time employee would give us better consistency than trying to get a part-time employee.
I'll talk to Nancy Windsor when I get a chance, but I'm sure they're going to be doing much more duties than studying the previously known gypsy moth.
Oh, yeah, well, Dennis is here to answer any of those questions for you. We've had numerous conversations, so actually, Dennis, if you want to kind of talk about what they're going to do for parks.
So this position is pretty dynamic. It's a natural fit for parks because, of course, we have 1,100 acres that we have to manage ourselves, and we had an infestation down at Columbus County Park, so it's going to involve our parks heavily. A lot of park systems that are our size have naturalists, so there's a natural fit, no pun intended, but they're a good fit for parks. And what they do is they're going to help create awareness about what we're doing in our parks, the impact that these invasive species have. So, and that works twofold because it's going to work for us in our parks, but it's also going to work out in the 33 local units of government that are going to need assistance on identifying these creatures, to identify other invasive species plants. We have an infestation of a lot of different invasives in St. Clair County, and it's not just insects. The spongy moth was bad this year. I haven't seen an infestation like this since the 90s. The last time I think I remember a pretty in-depth infestation of it. So it comes and goes, but once that goes, something else will replace it. So this position will basically help, monitor these different invasives that come into our area. There's a new one that's already hitting oak trees in St. Clair County. It's been identified. So we're going to be consistently battling these sort of things, and by creating awareness for our residents so they understand, what these things are, how to deal with them, how to eradicate them, and this position will help with that. The other part of it is what they'll do for us when they're not doing that. They're going to really help promote through programming and whatnot in our parks about the natural environment, the impact that these sort of things have. And it'll be a win-win for both the county residents and all of the different local units of government and also in our parks. So we see it as a good fit.
I got two questions if I could.
Go ahead.
You said this year we had a gypsy moth or a spongy moth problem? Or
Well,
last year?
last year.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Because I go out to my woods a lot, and I haven't seen one yet this year.
right, and that's good. So the process working, but this person will help
Just, when you
eradicate
said
that.
this year, I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of any. Would they also be able to, potentially similar but different subject, but we're getting more ticks. I am seeing those. Would that person be able to do some studying on the ticks?
Yes, so it's a really good question, because in a lot of the park districts and park agencies, park and commissions in Michigan, naturalists deal a lot with that. So how to protect yourself, how to identify them. The Lyme disease is a big problem across the United States. It's here in Michigan. And naturalists, actually, that's a part of their job, is to create that awareness. And I think that would be a big part of what they do. And as these different things come up, addressing them.
I'll use the white ash as an example. We lived through that, Phragmites, and it's always been a Chinese fire drill, right? When these things get dropped on us, we haven't had anybody previously. The Phragmites, I think about that, when that hit, fast, furious, people are looking for answers, where they turn, in the county, we never, it's always been a reactive approach than a proactive approach, on it. So I think, to your point with the parks and stuff, it's the right fit.
And we'll continue to work with the Friends. They're a valuable asset. They're in our parks, and they'll help us, in that process too. So it's still we'll still have a relationship with the Friends for sure in this process.
Okay, very good.
Are there any other questions of Dennis before he steps down? Thanks, Dennis. We have a motion in support of it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, the Smiths Creek Landfill Activities Report.
Make a motion to receive and file.
Support.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other environmental public work matters anybody like to speak about?
I guess just one quick. So St. Clair's in the process of going through some pretty extensive studies right now, looking at their water, looking at their sewer capacities. This is something which a lot of these communities, the city system, it's a 1967, right? So a lot of these communities, for example, the City of St. Clair services St. Clair Township with water. Well, if you look at potential growth areas, where you're able to grow are in your rural communities. And right now, a little bit of water capacity. They've actually just recently taken some bonds out to be able to increase that. So that project's happening. But sewer capacity is another issue. And if you're going to look at, and we'll go back to the large tracts of land conversation, if you're looking at different areas where you're able to try to locate, job providers, it's generally going to be in some of our more rural type of spots where you're going to be able to assemble that. These are expensive fixes, so these are one of those things that, being proactive, do you just sit back and, okay, forget it, we're done, we're closed for business, or do you become, proactive? So the city is actually stepping up and doing quite a bit of work down there, and they've hired some, obviously some good outfits to do that. But I'm sure this conversation is going to be had with other communities. I mean, we're looking at Elginak, Clay, the Ire system, Pasadena. You got the city of Port Huron that has a lot of capacity, but,
Long way away.
It's a long way away, and then, so just kind of bringing you up to speed on that.
Thank you. Any other environmental or information only, the monthly Parks and Rec financial documents?
Make motion to approve.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, receive and file.
Make a motion to receive and file packets.
Support.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Any questions on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Have a roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Baldwin,
Present.
Commissioner Beeden,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing.
Here. You see, we have 5 additions to the agenda. Could I get a motion to add those to section 7 as 7D, E, F, G, and H?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. We're gonna move to 3 citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard? Updates. Any updates? Any conceptual initiatives? No. There's no old business, so we'll move to new business. 7A, the 2021 UHY LLP audit presentation. If you would, please.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight to present the 21 audit for the county. My name is Karen Shafiq, and I am the partner on the job from UHY. Before I get to the presentation, I just want to thank Carrie and Dina and the admin staff and all the departments for all their cooperation and all the hard work preparing for the audit. I know it takes a lot of time, and I just want to say thank you. And then I'm going to go through just a brief summary of the statements with the packet that I think you all have, as the report is about 200 pages. But we'll start with the first part of the financial section is the independent auditor's report. This is really the only part of the statements that is UHY's. They are your statements. You do have an unmodified opinion. That is the best that you can have and what you strive for each year. You did receive last year the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and that is presented within the introductory section of the CAFR. And the 21 report has also been submitted for that award as well. We'll go primarily through your general fund tonight, and we'll begin with the balance sheet, which is presented on page 22 of the financial statements, if you're flipping through. Assets at the end of 2021 were $17,261,249. Liabilities were at $4,418,404. Deferred inflows of resources were at $321,538 with your fund balance at $12,521,307. Going to your statement of revenues, expenditures, and your changes in your fund balance, we're looking really just at your general fund, how your budget basis general fund is. Total revenues were at $59,519,090. Your total expenditures were at $56,245,279, with your revenues over expenditures of $3,273,811. There were a net amount of other financing uses of $3,033,002, leaving your change in your fund balance for your general fund, just that budgetary basis of your general fund, an increase of $240,809. The budget incentive fund had a decrease in their fund balance, which is combined with the general fund for GAAP reporting purposes, of $75,672, and the development revolving fund is also combined with the general fund for GAAP reporting, and that had a decrease in fund balance of $324,191. So the net change in your fund balance for your general fund was a decrease of $159,054 this year. Looking at really an analysis of your fund balance, that $12.5 million is broken up into a couple different pieces, one being non-spendable fund balance. That was at $1,501,956, and that's really fund balance that really can't be spent again or in the near future. They're long-term notes or prepaids and things of that nature that have already been paid out. Committed fund balance was at $1,056,340, and your unassigned fund balance was at $9,963,011. And that can be used for general purposes and what the board decides. There are two letters that actually go with your financial statements. One is a report on internal control over financial reporting. That doesn't include a schedule of findings and question costs this year with a communication of a significant deficiency. And there's also a management letter attached with your audit communication letter, and that is a required communication with the board as well and should be attached with that big report anyway. The next part of the presentation packet does go through really the remainder of your funds. So it does go through your other major governmental funds. I won't go through all those numbers for you because there are a lot of them. And then it goes through your non-major governmental funds as well. Your enterprise funds are included here for your solid waste and your delinquent tax revolving, your airport and sheriff's concessions funds. Your internal service fund is also included. And then on page 6 of the packet is your fiduciary funds. So your retirement, other post-employment benefit funds, and the landfill private purpose funds are included. On pages 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the packet, there are a couple of graphs. The first really being kind of a breakout of your general fund revenues by source. So taxes came in at about 56.5% of your total revenues this year compared to 57.8% last year. And then your expenditures are really a breakout of your expenditures are on page 8 as well. And that's split by function. Page 9 of that report does go through your general fund balance and the level for the last 10 years. So you can really kind of see in a picture form anyway, where that has gone over the last 10 years. And then page 10 shows a graph of where your revenues and expenditures have been for your general fund, again, over the last 10 years as well. Any questions at all?
Just a couple comments.
Yeah.
First of all, when you look at some of the refunding on the bonds, we've hit money at like all-time low, cheap, we're in good shape, and as I think everybody knows, interest rates are going up, they're going to continue to go up, probably good chance. So the cost of doing projects now, if we would have to bond, would be substantially more than, you know, where we're at now. So we're in a really good position there. Some of the, so this year we saw under a 4% increase, correct me if I'm wrong, in revenue for the county, right around 3.8, 3.9 uptick.
In total or property taxes?
Property taxes and total additional revenue, 3.5, 4%.
Yeah, our taxes for 2022 are, I believe, 4.8.
4.8, okay. What else? Oh, and if anybody wants to read that, it's available online, and if you want to go to sleep real quick, do yourself a favor. You're an accountant, I get it. It's a lot of information in there, a lot of numbers, so.
I do have a couple of questions, but it's for Carrie mostly, I guess, and it's on page 67 because I've only been able to read about half of this since being here today. We have a balance, I believe it's $7,280,000 for the convention center on page 67.
I don't have mine in front of me, hold on.
I'm looking at it, yes, that is.
So that is the outstanding debt.
Yes.
Yes.
And I see that this is going to go out to the year 20,042, so 20 years from now. Is there any consideration to pay this off? Because that's a lot of interest, 3 to 5% what it stated on 7 million, that's quite a chunk every year.
So bonds aren't like mortgages for paying them off early. When you sell bonds, you guarantee bondholders basically a rate of return. So if you defease the debt before those bonds are callable, you do have to make those bondholders whole in a sense. So there is a cost to defeasance. And in our bond council and our municipal advisors do regularly review those items to see if it makes sense for us to do a refunding or refinancing, because we did do a refinancing on the commission or the convention center debt, and we're able to save some significant funds. But there is a cost of the early defeasance.
And you're always great at this, but we could save the money, because if it's 5% on 7 million, it's a pretty good chunk every year.
So our refunding on the convention center saved just over $1.3 million when we refunded that debt in interest costs.
My other question was on, and you've discussed this before, on the attachment to the building here that the state of Michigan is leasing from us, and that's going to run out in May 31st of 2023. Any input on that yet? If they're going to extend?
So we have heard from some staff members over there that they're under the impression that they are staying. So at least with the state of Michigan, they do have the option to extend it for 5 years, and it's their sole option. The county, we do not have an out in that lease, but they do not need to notify us they have to notify us, it's either by November or December of this year if they intend to leave in 2023.
Okay, and I'm sure you'll tell us, because that comes out to 2026, an additional $4 million potential. So,
This building is it paid off yet, or do we want one?
Yes, this building's paid off. We get around $600,000 a year in rent from them.
So we had a $800 and some odd $1,000, correct me if I'm wrong, our bond payment on this was between $800,000 or $900,000 on this building. I think we paid it off last year.
Yes, the bond was paid off last year. It was kind of a variable payment. It would fluctuate between $700 and $850, around there.
So this is no longer hitting the general fund.
okay, that's all I've been able to go through this thing so far, so I'll read it when I get home. Okay. Do I need a motion to accept the presentation?
So
Can I have a
moved.
motion for that?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 7B, and we'll let Commissioner Vanderbosch take care of this. District 7, American Rescue Plan Project, City of Algonac Fire Department Enhanced Public Safety Communications Equipment. Can I have a motion first?
I'll make a motion.
I'll support it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, they've got some of the remainder for each community I divvied up, and the city of Algonac's going to buy handheld prep radios, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 7C, Commissioner McConnell will handle this one. District 1 American Rescue Plan Project, City of Yale Park upgrades. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Now we'll go to 7D, starting with Resolution 2222, ratifying collective bargaining agreement, Public Service Employees Union ACME 1089. This is for final action. All of these will be.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? I believe we need a roll call on all of these? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 7A, Resolution 22-23, ratifying collective bargaining agreement, Human Resources Employees Union, TPOAM, and this is for final action also. Have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 7F, Resolution 22-24, ratifying collective bargaining agreement, ASME 1089, Clerk and Register of Deeds Office Employees.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Or any opposed? Motion passed. 7G, addition. Resolution 22-25, ratifying collective bargaining agreement, ASME 1089, prosecuting attorney clerical employees. Have a motion?
For final action?
Yes.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Finally, 7H, Resolution 22-26, ratifying collective bargaining agreement, ASME 1089, Treasurer Office Employees.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, we're done with the new business. At this time, do we have any other Ways and Means matters? Seeing none, information only. Have a motion to receive and file.
I got an interesting one on information only. So I talked to the harbor master in St. Clair today, and we were talking about as you guys all know, I do all the music and all that stuff down there in St. Clair, and just kind of asking him, have they seen an uptick in boating, you know, so on and so forth? Because we're doing a lot of stuff now. It's pretty well known through the boat community, and I emphasize this to people. We started this 2 years ago in August. This is the third season, but it's been 2 years since we started doing all that entertainment. And now I'm pushing 173 shows this summer. But the harbor was up $60,000 just in July from last year. Last year they did $735,000, record year for them. Big time, way over their numbers. They're going to go over $800,000 this year in the marina in St. Clair. Probably at least a 10 to almost 15% increase that he said, just because now there's activity and things happening in town. I would be curious with all the things now that they're doing in McMorran and stuff, now that people know you can come, you're boating, you know, the activity, what those upticks may look like. So might be some questions. And I know you guys just started that up here. But just an interesting, I guess, statistic to see what the actual impact and, you know, direct reflection is. So just want to share that.
All right, anything else? Can I have 10, receive and file. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Now what we're going to need to do, I need probably two motion or one that includes it. We need to go in closed session for labor negotiation and then adjournment. So if I can have a motion to cover both those.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. We are going to be going in closed session, I imagine 10, 15 minutes maybe?
The meeting,
Whatever it takes.
well, the meeting
Whatever it takes.
adjourned after that.
Yes, that's why I wanted that included on the motion.